Hey there, welcome back to another video. Younes Charfaoui is here, and in this video, and always in the series about Kotlin for beginners, we are going to learn about classes, their syntax, on how to use them in Kotlin. Now, keep in mind that this series or this mini course is not here to teach you what is programming or what is object-oriented programming and what is classes. This course is only here to let you know what is the syntax of Kotlin and to how to use the things you already know in Kotlin, like declaring variables, functions, loops, classes, like we will do in this video, and so on. Because the topic of programming is broad and the topic of object programming also is broad. We may create a video for it. If you want, let me know in the comment below. So let's get started. Now, in order to create class in Kotlin, well, you have to just put keyword of class, and here you have to type the type of this class. So if this class will represent student or person, you will just put the person. In Java, you have to put this parentheses or this brackets. In Kotlin, we can omit them like that. It's perfectly good. Now we can use this type directly here. We can create val person of type person. You can do that, 2 dots and person like that. And you can just create it with the default constructor, person like that, with 2 parentheses and so on. We don't have the new keyword in Kotlin. You can just delete it. And here you have created a person. Well, we can delete that because it's already know that. And you are creating a class person. That's it. That's how you create a class. I'm kidding. Let's go. In order to add variables, you have to create parentheses like that or brackets and declare the variable you like. Now to declare a variable, well, you have to pass it from some constructor. For the constructor part, you can create it directly here. Let's say that this person have first name and last name. Well, you can pass first name and last name like following. First name, which is string, and last name, which is also a string. And here you can create the variables that will hold that values. You can put val or var, depending on you. Val of first name, which is a string, equal to that first name. Now this first name is this first name. You can duplicate this line and just put it here. Last name is last name. Okay? And you can, for example, put them private here. Private, like that. And you can use them. Now here, in this person class declaration, it tells you that the constructor needs 2 parameters. So this is how to initialize it. Now, if you want, let me just show you how you can use them. If you want to print the person first name, you just put the dot here to call its member function or variables and put the first name, and it will print that first name. That's stored first name. Okay, same thing for the last name. You can put as many variables as you want. Now in Kotlin, there is something very special. You can delete that. Okay, and if you want to use the same values as the same values passed to the constructor as the same values in your variables, you can just put here the val keyword directly. So this creates the member variables for the class and also initialize them with the constructor. Okay, so if you see that color of purple, that means that's a member variable. So if you run it, Younes Charfaoui, okay, because I used print. You can always delete that and it will work perfectly. But let's say you want to do something to that first name. Well, here you have to put the previous variables. Put them like that. Let's say here I want to, for example, put all the names to lowercase. So I use something like that, to lowercase, and also here to lowercase. Now, if you run it, you'll see that Younes Charfaoui with small case. What is even better, you can do the default value for each value. Let's say for the last name, I will use an empty string if the user don't provide me with the last name. If you delete that, it will work perfectly. The last name will be just an empty. It is empty here. Okay, so this is the same as functions. And also you can use named functions, named parameters. You can use, for example, the first name here equals something and the last name here equals something else. Now this is called the primary constructor. You can use it like that, or you can put here the keyword of constructor. It will work, but you can delete that. Sometimes when we work with something like dependency injection, we use the keyword of @inject to inject something @inject like that. I don't have the dependency here, but sometimes you use it. You can't use it without this keyword because it won't understand. It will understand that these parameters are for the inject annotation. So you have to put the constructor here, okay? So when we use constructor with annotations, you have to put the keyword of constructor. Now, this is called the primary constructor, okay? You can use other constructors for a function, just create a constructor like that, but you will have to call the primary constructor using 2 dots and this. And you have to pass it the 2 things, first name and last name. So here, let's say I want to create, for example, something like the middle name. You have to pass it also with the other. So you have to copy all of that. And here you have to paste, well, first name, second name, or last name, sorry, and the middle name. Okay, no, you don't have to put here any middle name, okay, because this is the primary constructor. And now you have to put this, something like that. Let me show you full picture. And that way you can use your middle name in the way you like. Also, if you want to initialize something in the beginning of the class, because if you don't have this constructor, how you want, let's say I want to initialize another variable with something else. You can use the init keyword here. Let's say I'm having this something variable called age with an int, okay? And I didn't provide an int, but I want default value. You can use this age here and give it 10, for example, and it will work, okay? Well, you can use it here, or you can just give it 10 directly, okay? This will work, but sometimes we will have process to do, so we need a block of code to execute, not just simple assignment for the age variable. And for the final thing, I know this is a bit confusing because we are having many things to learn here. If you want this constructor to be private, you can just put private here, okay? Now, this private is for the constructor, because sometimes you can put class as private also, okay? So this class is private. That means that no other classes can create it other than this class or this file, okay? But if you put the private here, no one can create it, okay? Maybe you will ask me why you put constructor as private, because sometimes, let's say in the singleton pattern of design patterns, the constructor is private only to its class, and you can create this class by other means in that class, okay? So here you will have that error. It says that cannot access init in private person, okay? It is private. Something else, you can create functions also. Let me delete that. You can create function to call for that person. Let's say I have a function that say get full name, for example, full name. It will combine the 2 names, okay? And if you run it, you want to return the first name plus, for example, space or comma here, and the last name, okay? Now, you have to make the return type as string, and you can use also always string templates to make it look good. And if you have one line function, you can delete it, delete that, and give it an equal like that, okay? This is much more concise, okay? Now, you can call this function, you can't just call get full name. It won't work. You will use this function for the instances of that class. So you can have person dot get full. Now it will print Younes, Charfaoui. Okay, run it. And it will print Younes, Charfaoui. It is in lowercase because in the initialization, we put to lowercase. Well, you can delete that also to make it more concise. And this is perfect class. Also, you can delete that. You can delete that also. Didn't use it. This is the final class, and it will print Younes Charfaoui. Okay, so to recap what we just learned, we learned how to create classes with variables and member function in it. You can always change this val to var if you want this to change frequently. We learned how to create functions or member functions, and also how to call them, to call these functions. And finally, we learned about constructors and primary constructor and secondary constructor and the init block. Okay, so if you have any question, make sure to post it in the comment below. Thank you very much for watching this video. Subscribe to the channel and see you in the next video.